everybody. I'm back today to talk about exponents or the power to a number. You'll remember in our last lesson that we were talking about the relationship of multiplication and addition and subtraction. But moving forward with today's lessons, it's important to note that when we're working with exponents, it's not the same thing as the relationship between two operations like what we had worked with before, or the repeated addition, so to speak. And what I mean by that is, if we can get the board over here, is that it's not the same thing. So we have, let's say, the number 3x, and we have the letter x to the third power. And these are both not the same thing. And if we did the operation itself, we're going to see that they would come up with very different numbers, because 3x means x, excuse me, x plus x, and x to the third power would mean x times x times x. All right, let's use the number 5 to the fifth power, and that would mean 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. It would mean this power here tells you the number of times you're going to multiply something. And if you see letters, for instance, let's use the letter G. G to the third, it would mean multiply G 3 times. So we would have G times G times G. Sometimes we're going to be fractions. And in these fractions, you're also going to see the exponent. For instance, let's use the example 3/4 to the second power. That second power. Your fractions are going to be in parentheses, and the power will be on the outside of them. But this is still meaning 3/4 times 3/4. And when we multiply the operation, it gives us 9/16. Speaking of the order of operations, we also see sometimes where they're in combination of more than one multiplication, addition, subtraction. They're all in one equation or expression. Addition, we know, means to count on, and subtraction is counting back. We know that when we think about multiplication, we think about it as repeated addition, and then division is also thought about as like repeated subtraction. But let's take a moment and let's have us concentrate on an expression of 3. Let's say 3 plus 4 times 2. Okay, let's try to separate it. 3 plus 4 times 2. Now, if we were to draw this expression out, we would see 3, and let's make this one. Okay, so this diagram right here is showing this expression of 3 plus 4 times 2. With addition, we're finding the sum of two addends. So before we can add in an expression, we have to find the value of the second addend. So when you're looking at 3 plus 4 times 2, we know that we're going to add 3 to something. Okay, it's telling us we're going to add 3 to something. And this is our second add-in. And we're going to have to do this first before we can add this because we don't know what this is. So if we take this and we'll say 3 plus, we know that 4 times 2 is 8. So we would have 8 and we would add our 3 to it, which is going to give us 11. When let's try another one real quick. How about 4 plus 2 times 7? Okay, let's try. So now we know we're going to add 4 to something. Okay, we know we're going to add 4 to something. Oops. So 2 times 7 we know is 14. And we're going to add our 4, which would give us 18. Okay? In learning about exponents, when they're in expression, they have to be evaluated first. So we have to take a look at some of the numbers that are within our expressions and our equations. For example, 4 plus 6 to the second power divided by 8. I'm going to try to write it on here. 4 plus 6 to the second power divided by 8. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to have to do is, because exponents have a lot of power, and they're more powerful than multiplication in some sense, so we would have to do this 6 to the second power first before we could continue. So we would say 4 plus 6 times 6 divided by 8, which would equal to 4 plus 36 divided by 8. Yep, here we go. When we do that, we see that 36 divided by 3 times 4. What number do I have here? 4 divided by 6 squared. I don't know where I got it now. 4 plus 36 divided by 8. So we're going to divide next. So 8 into 36 will go 4 times, which gives us 4 over 8, which is equal to a half. So it would equal to a decimal of 4.5. So we would have 4 plus 4.5, which would give us 8.5. In learning about exponents, they have to be evaluated, and you would have to make sure that you solve the exponents first, and then there's a rule about all of this. So if you can recall talking about PEMDAS, 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 that all told us our rules of what we needed to do in which order. And that's with P being parentheses. Our P was parentheses. Parentheses. Our E is our exponents. What do you think M is? I can hear you. You're saying multiplication. The D would be for division. A for addition. And we know that S is going to be subtraction. So in looking at our PEMDAS, we can see that we have parentheses first, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And that's the order in which you need to solve your expressions and your equations. Expressions with parentheses, inside groupings, like those are, the parentheses are what they call a grouping. It's putting them numbers in inside something. It's a symbol. And you need to do the exponents, or whatever's inside those parentheses have to be done first. So if there is, for example, we may have 2 plus 9 squared minus 4, for example. And it would look like this. So we know that inside this parentheses, we have an exponent. And this exponent is going to have to be solved first. So when we do that, we would say 2 plus, and that exponent means 2 times, so it's 9 times 9, which would be 81 minus 4. And mind you, it's still inside the parentheses. We solved it inside the parentheses. Now we also have to continue with that parenthesis, so we would subtract 81 minus 4 first. Okay? 2 plus 81 minus 4 is going to give us, that's right, 77. And now we're going to add the 2 to the 77, and we know that 2 plus 77 is 79. So anything inside the parentheses first, if it's an exponent, it must be done first, finished off in the parentheses, and then you can continue through with the remainder of the PEMDAS rule. Okay, if there's any questions or any concerns, or you're not quite understanding, please contact me. And we can walk through and make sure that everything is understandable. And just take your time with it. Exponents can be fun. And it also, remember that exponents mean multiply, and any variable next to a number means you're going to add it. I'll have a next lesson for you, and we'll continue on from there. And I'll see you next time. Thanks. Have a good night or good day.